Hi again, everyone. This video is sponsored by contribution from Astrid, and here's her story. Hi, Ollie. I'm sending you this letter with a contribution. This is Astrid again. Thank you for your last video you made me. The narcissist tries to outwit the truth. I really enjoyed watching your reactions, and like the first video you made, it helped to hear it from someone else's voice. I also rewatched your first video today, phone call with narcissistic mother, in order to send it to a friend. I was struck by how much funnier it was now than the first time I came across it a few months ago. When I first watched it, I had all these feelings of fear and shame because your mom is like mine in how she sounds when she's trying to break you down or exhaust you with words, as you said. This is why we don't talk on the phone anymore and haven't for years. Though, if you asked her, she'd insist she has no idea. I just hate her for no reason. No reason at all. I was struck with your comment about the 32-year-old fucking the 19-year-old hostage crisis. And then shortly after that, you're shocked that the 19-year-old wasn't enough for her. As in your last video, you made the age difference front and center, but this time you highlighted how unreasonable it would be. It would have how unreasonable it would have been for her to think this was going to end well. She's either very stupid or trying to emotionally manipulate me. Probably both. I was watching one of your videos about being wary of narcs with dogs. It inspired me to send in a letter about a different narc in my upbringing, my former stepmom. The first time I met this woman, she had flown down from Canada to be with my dad, a man she met on the internet somehow. I think, though, a text-based mud game. She had a small black dog that vaguely resembled a Portuguese water dog, but was about a third of the size of one and hated water. She talked often during the years she was married to my dad about how she was a purebred. She was introduced to me as someone who spoke 5 languages because she had previously worked as a flight attendant. Knowing how to say coffee or tea in 5 languages is not speaking 5 languages. But what's even more astonishing is that the dog also spoke those languages because she had taught him. What this meant as a practical matter was that we were not allowed to use tone of voice or gesture to alter the dog's behavior. The dog was not fixed because he was a purebred. Oh, fucking Christ. And the first time we met him, he immediately started to hump my 11-year-old brother's leg. When he reacted by pushing this dog off and yelling, we both got the first of what would be many, many lectures about how we needed to try to stop asking him to stop in all the languages he knew. And as a reminder, I'm a speech therapist with a linguistics background, which made this even more absurd to me in retrospect because I now know just how ridiculous that claim was. We weren't allowed to raise our voice because that had hurt his feelings, and he was part of the family, same as we were. Wow. Wow. Told you about narcs and dogs. I told you. That original dogs video I did, man, boy, does that still get under people's skin. People either love it or hate it. When I would protest, which I did on so many occasions, I lost track. It was seriously a reoccurring theme of the years I had regular visitation with him when I was age 13 to 16, that he was just a dog. My dad would say, you say that like it matters, in a very disappointed tone. So your dad went along with this bullshit? The dog also immediately bit me on the hand, drawing blood. Oh, that would have been the last thing that fucking thing ever did. I had been attacked by a pit bull that was bigger than me about 2 years earlier, and it had really traumatized me. For a long time, I really couldn't be anywhere near dogs I didn't know or dogs that were bigger than a large cat. But this dog wasn't that huge. However, it triggered my trauma and I ran back to my room. This woman, let's call her Lurleen, then lectured me about how he isn't a scary dog that might bite me. He only bit me because I had startled him or something, and that he never bites usually. He was just really stressed from the plane flight. So stressed he had bit her on the flight over too. I thought he didn't bite though. Now this dog was special. Apparently, Lurleen had been in some kind of car accident shortly after she acquired the dog. She was reaching for something on the footwell in her car while driving an SUV and it had rolled. The sunroof was open. The dog had flown out the sunroof, but she had found him unharmed. This happened on a Friday. Result, Fridays were now his birthday. Every Friday we had to gather around and sing this piece of shit dog happy birthday and give him a present. Oh my God. Oh God. You know, know what present I would have gotten him? I would have gotten him a fucking gift certificate to the vet. Get the hot shot. Ugh. They would even call me at school on the Fridays I didn't go to my dad's and have me sing to the dog over the phone. Did they always give me presents or show up on my actual birthday? The one that only came once a year? Hell no. But this goddamn dog. Oh man, I get the dog. Oh God. Speaking of pedigrees or bitches, Lurleen had an impressive educational CV. She had worked as a professional dog trainer, yet yet her yet her dog was untrained. Professional horse breeder and trainer in Brazil, had worked as a professional seamstress and had a PhD in educational psychology. The truth behind those last two, I eventually learned, was that she taught sewing in high school once. Yet, yet she'd left all these careers behind around age 30 to pursue her dream of being a flight attendant to get a tan on every beach in the world. Speaking of beaches and bitches, they loved taking us to the dog beach. I mentioned already I had some recent dog bite psychological trauma. If not for the other trauma, it might not have been so profoundly debilitating to my ability to feel safe around dogs. They knew how I felt when I was around off-leash dogs, but if we were going to the beach, we were obviously going to take my youngest brother, Dog the Golden Child, and just we couldn't just put a member of the family on a leash. I honestly don't know how they tolerated having me around with repulsive ideas like that. So off to the dog beach we went, where I got to spend the entire time being hypervigilant about the 15 to 20 off-leash dogs running around me while I sat on the stand, praying they wouldn't eat me. Once a dog came up and took a piss on my towel. That's awesome. Dogs are it ain't even the dogs. It's the dog owners. See, that's what people miss about my first video. I'm not talking about the dogs. I'm talking about you fucking dog owners who don't fucking control your beasts. Not everybody in the world thinks your fucking dog is cute. And here's the other part. Your dog is a dog. It is not a human. It is not a child. It is not a person. And stop treating it like such and stop expecting everybody else to treat it as such. Meanwhile, my brother got a second degree severe blistering sunburns because they didn't want to just make him put on sunblock, or make him wear a suit, or make him wear a shirt. By the way, this is why I have a hard time saying my mom was truly wrong for manipulating the justice system to limit his visitation, because he just went right out and brought another narcissist into my life. But on the other hand, she did get me to lie about my dad in a way that legally harmed him, and that's fucked up to put on a kid. I also worry that my dad's alcohol use went up because he couldn't take me with him when he left, and he felt like his life was ruined, and he lost his kids to my narc mom, whom he married to get away from his narc parents, subject for another letter. And I helped with that. What kind of person am I? Back to my stepmom. I once asked Lurleen to teach me to sew a costume for an event. Big mistake. Let's just say she didn't know how to teach or what she was really doing, and she blamed everything on me when it wasn't going right. Meanwhile, my narc mom, mentioned in previous letters, got wind of this and decided the costume was a proxy for my love. So she started making me make a duplicate costume under her direction. So when the event came, I had to wear both costumes and make sure I got a picture in each so each person would think they'd won. Lurleen was also racist and loved making racist jokes that turned on things like Velcro and people with a certain hair texture. Another time I came up for visitation and there was no top sheet from my bed on my bed. She and my dad confronted me about the fact that the sheet was missing and asked what happened to it. I had no idea, obviously. She also wanted to know where some silverware went, the steel kind, not actual silver. I also had no idea. She said that my friend, who was black, who had visited once weeks earlier, had stolen it. Therefore, I wasn't allowed to have any friends up until he returned it. Around that time, they also canceled the long distance phone service, so I couldn't call my friends or my mom when things were too crazy up there. That's when I got my first cell phone. Throughout this time, my dad and stepmom spent a lot of days in their bedrooms, in their bedroom at the top of the stairs, while my brother and I fended for ourselves. After the first prolonged visit, when I came back, having lost 10% of my body weight after 2 weeks, from 130 to 115, my mom started sending bags of food up with us, I guess because it fit her narcissistic narrative about my dad, more so than actually caring about me and my well-being. She refused to get me counseling for neck pain, nausea, and regular vomiting that turned out to be due to a bone in my neck forming wrong. So after that, I was able to make sure my brother got enough to eat, though by then I'd been traumatized and internalized the idea that I wasn't worth feeding and was having the symptoms of the malformation, so eating was just generally unpleasant. I survived by seeking out soft, calorie-dense foods, soft cheeses, trail mix, which drew abuse and mockery from both parents and accusations that I wasn't eating X because I snacked on junk all the time. I also began to eat sort of palatable food items that generally get prepared more. Lemon-made mix, dry ramen, straight flour. I will still seek out some of those items for comfort when I'm going through a stressful time. I also still tend to eat as fast as I can or prefer to eat in private, but I'm working through it. Sometimes their substance use came pretty close to disaster. One Christmas, Lurleen wanted to cook a Christmas turkey dinner. I spent the whole day saying she probably wanted to get the turkey in the oven ASAP, but she didn't put it in the oven until like 7:30 p.m. What? When it wasn't done by 10, surprise, she broke down crying in front of us. We had decided to finally open presents. She just started crying and begging the dog to come to her, then was saying not even her dog loves her. Later that night, maybe around 3 a.m., I woke up because the house was filled with white smoke. I could barely see and it smelled like burning. She was in the kitchen stumbling around and told me to go back to bed. The next night we went bowling. She had said she put the leftover turkey, which was all of it, on the stovetop to make turkey soup. I said, is it really a good idea to leave the soup on the stove while we drive all the way to the next town to go bowling? She said it was fine because the soup was supposed to simmer for 48 hours. That sounded very unlikely to be the case. Someone pointed out to me once that the recipe probably said 4 to 8 hours. Anyway, when we got home, the soup was an inch of charred residue at the bottom of the pot. The house was again filled with smoke. The following Christmas, I brought a bag of gifts to my dad's house to do a gift exchange, including a framed self-portrait I had done that I was quite proud of. We had plans, but he didn't answer the door. So I left the gifts on the porch. Later, they called us to come over. Lurleen was such a narcissist that she always insisted she was a size 4 when she really wasn't. So I brought her a size 4 dress for Christmas, taking her at her word. It was really pathetic to watch her squeeze into it and insist it fit great. Her gift to me was a Canadian mailbox piggy bank and a plastic mousse that shot brown jelly beans, both of which she'd obviously purchased at the airport. Side note, the reverse also happened this Christmas with my dad's narc parents, where they gave me a dress that was plainly too big and kept arguing with me about it. They insisted it fit perfectly, that my bust line was 34 inches, so it had to fit. And she knew that because a woman had done a fitting on me years before to find my bra size, and she was definitely said it was 34 inches for the bust. And that's the only place it matters. It matters a dress fit. She also kept trying to make me feel vain and ridiculous by saying I shouldn't refuse to wear a dress just because of the label. And she used this opportunity to keep feeling me up, which I've been noticing she makes a habit of. Anyway, she's a narc for another letter. No story about Lurleen would be completed without the story of their divorce. I've heard two different versions, and because they were both very drunk at the time, I have no idea whose story is true. What the stories agree on is that she was holding a knife. He grabbed the knife by the blade and cut himself to make it look like that he had knocked her down before calling the cops and telling them she had attacked them. I do think it's more likely that my dad's story is true, but my mom spent a lot of energy pushing the narrative that only men are abusers and abusers are sneaky liars, so I still feel some doubt. Anyway, so there they were on vacation, and he left Lurleen in jail with no money and went home. I didn't hear why she had disappeared for a few years. That was in 2006, and the first time I heard the story was when Lurleen had called my cell phone and asked for my grandfather in 2010. She wanted someone to pay for her herpes medication. But while she had me on the phone, and this is partly my fault for not being able to look away from a train wreck and wanting some perspective on what this woman really was, she spent the next 3 hours telling me all sorts of inappropriate crap. My dad's wanking habits, the time she walked in on my little brother wanking and supposedly made eye contact with her dad and didn't stop, the time her dog somehow came trotting up one day with some sort of sex toy that my dad had only ever used years before when he was dating my mom, and that she had a rash on her buttock. But thank God it was only on her buttock and not on her vagina. Then, of course, I had to promise not to tell. I obviously would not take this woman's call again today, but I'm glad I know for sure that she's the one who is crazy. I'm still working on getting that perspective on the others in my life. I'll stop here from now, but thank you for doing this, Ollie. Your channel has been incredibly therapeutic for me. Astrid. Well, it's interesting because I remember the story about you lying about your dad for your mom, and look, your mother and your father are obviously both fucking damaged. They're damaged, and you know I don't know what happened with the second wife. I have no idea. Being that your mother isn't exactly the best source of information, I wouldn't take her on her word. And it almost seems like your father was trying to replace his children with. A lot of people do that. A lot of people will try to replace children with pets and other relationships, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And the herpes medication, that's funny. It just goes to show you what happens when you go no contact and when you cut these people out of their lives, out of your life. They eat each other. They eat each other. They eat each other up. What I don't understand with what was going on here's how screwed up is narcissism is. And here's overall what I think here, Astrid, about narcissism. It sounds like the situation was so screwed up at your dad's and your stepmom's anyway. Your mother didn't even need to lie. I mean, the truth was screwy enough. That's the crazy thing. A narcissist will lie even if they don't need to. Just because they think they should. I mean, there should have been enough proof here of what's going on. Having a dog, an unneutered dog humping your leg and singing happy. Where was your mother when you're singing happy birthday to a dog over the phone? That's crazy. I would have been like, no, I won't be doing that. And the woman's dangerous. I mean, she like tried to burn, what is it? Every Christmas tries to burn the goddamn house down. She's an idiot. So to lie, I mean, it didn't seem like you even need to lie because the narcissists trip themselves up, but they do it anyway. They do it anyway. So thank you for your contribution and your story, Astrid. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, or you'd like a private video made or a Skype call, you know what to do with the PayPal and the email link in the description box. I'll have the video right back to you. This is Ali Matthews. Thanks for watching. See you all again soon.